General Hospital spoilers for Thursday, May 1, reveal that Drew Kane will make a plea to Willow Corinthos, while Dant Falconeri gets a shocking phone call. Harrison Chase's fury will also erupt, so let's talk about what's ahead on the ABC soap. First, it looks like Brooklyn Quartermain will complain to Chase about Lulu Spencer's adoption story and all the trouble she's stirring up. As Chase stomps off, Brooklyn will ask where he's going. Chase will declare that he's going to put an end to this, so he'll presumably hope he can shut Lulu's story down. At some point, Chase will go to Dant with a request, so he may hope Lulu's ex can talk her into backing off. However, Dante will have other problems to deal with after a phone call catches him off guard. It'll leave Dant with questions about what they did, so Rocco Falconeri and Danny Morgan might land in some trouble with the law. Lulu will need to get updates as well if Rocco's caught up some drama, but she'll continue her conversation with Laura Collins first. It looks like Lulu will come clean about Dant having a child out there that he doesn't know about. Since Rocco has a half-brother, Lulu will feel like this affects her family and will suggest maybe that makes it her secret to share. However, Laura will have a warning for Lulu and may think she should fully consider the consequences of revealing a buried shocker like this. Next, Tracy Quartermain may hit a nerve with a comment she makes to Brooklyn. They'll leave Tracy asking if it was something she said, so Brooklyn will ultimately confide in her. The question is, just how much will Brooklyn reveal? It'd be risky to spill too much to Tracy about the hidden teen pregnancy and secret adoption, but we'll see what Brooklyn decides to divulge. Other GH spoilers say Emma Scorpio Drake will remain committed to scoring the research assistant spot, so she'll make a prediction about showing Professor Henry Hank Dalton what she can do. Jocelyn Jacks will have a similar idea as she talks to Vaughn about a new angle she's going to work. It won't be long until Jocelyn catches Professor Dalton's attention and perhaps infuriates Emma in the process. As Kai Taylor heads to the OR, Trina Robinson will show her support and vow to see him on the other side of his surgery. Although Trina will put on a brave face, she'll be incredibly worried about the bad news this procedure could bring. Finally, Drew will have a chance to explain himself to Willow, or at least he'll try to. Willow will rage over Drew's actions and insist she could lose her kids because of him, but he'll push for an opportunity to share his side of the story. Drew is struggling to recall what happened last night, and may eventually push Willow to see that this has to be some sort of setup. Willow already admitted it was totally out of character for Drew to hire a prostitute, so she may believe him once he makes his desperate plea. General Hospital spoilers say Drew will try to get to the bottom of the drugging trap that was set for him, so Nina Reeves is sure to get nervous. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, Messy Syrup. It's me, Abby, here. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Keep watching. So let's dive into today's video. General Hospital spoilers and updates tease a clone plot beyond the horizon. Is there some sinister twin drama unfolding on the ABC soap? Daniel Goddard has been interacting with his social media fans and sharing intriguing details about his new role. Goddard recently shared intriguing information that gives suspicions regarding the secrets of Professor Dalton and the direction of his storyline. Alongside a photo of himself portraying Professor Dalton, he posted a brief interview clip featuring Sir John Gurdon, accompanied by a thoughtful commentary. In case you weren't aware, this is Professor Henry Dalton's mentor and inspiration. Nobel laureate John Gurdon, who inspires you? Who do you seek for guidance? Goddard wrote on X, previously known as Twitter. While this may appear to be a lighthearted way to engage with fans and spark conversation, there's more beneath the surface. The show clearly made a deliberate choice in selecting Professor Dalton's role model and inspiration. John Gurdon, a renowned British developmental biologist, is celebrated for his pioneering work in cloning and nuclear transplantation. Some enthusiasts have even dubbed Gurdon the godfather of cloning. suggesting that Professor Dalton's admiration for him could serve as a fascinating hint. Are the writers of GA setting the stage for a potential cloning plot? Might this connect to the chaotic events surrounding memory mapping we've seen before? Fans are already raising eyebrows at Drew Kane's strange conduct, speculating he's an imposter, has a brain tumor, or is a clone. Rumors are swirling that Drew might be a clone, hinting at potential chaos ahead that would certainly explain his drastic behavioral changes. We can also envision the show resurrecting Victor Cassadine, possibly suggesting that the character who met a tragic end in Greenland was actually a clone of Victor. This twist could pave the way for other long-gone characters to return if it turns out their clones met a similar fate. Likely Cassadine's, of course. Ultimately, this cloning hint is intriguing, as it could spark imposter storylines and even lead to some surprising returns, perhaps some fan-favorite characters. According to spoilers for the ABC soap, Jocelyn Jacks may stumble upon shocking revelations and make bold predictions, so keep an eye out for updates on her WSB mission. If you're a fan of Finola Hughes, you likely know she made a name for herself a few years before she landed the role of Anna on General Hospital. Who could forget the actress playing Laura in the 1983 hit Sting alive opposite John Travolta's Tony, and a few fans wanted to show just how much they loved her in the film by having a doll created of her character. Hughes posted a video to show off the one-of-a-kind doll created by the famous artist Hexton and stated, "She is gorgeous, and I'm so happy she gets to live with me." In the video, the soap vet gave a close-up of the doll that can be seen wearing the same outfit as Laura, and continued, "Hexton, you did an unbelievable job with this. This is absolutely beautiful." And to those fans who thought of doing this as a way to celebrate Hughes' 40th anniversary on the ABC soap this month, she added, "Big thank you to Jen Moore, Amy, Denise, Aurora, Sly, Rachel, Dana, Kat, Lisa, Nikki, Theresa, Kelly Mathy P, Queen Anna, Nadia, Michelle, Kathy, Courtney, Holly, Shayna, Erica, Brian L. Tarita, and Kathy." Fans weren't the only ones who jumped into the comments to show their excitement about Hughes' mini-me. Many of her castmates had a thing or two to say, including Cassandra James, who stated, "I'm obsessed with you." Kimberly McCullough added, "Stop it right now. I want one," as Christina Wagner said, "OMG, dazzling disco girl." And Vanessa Marcel reminded everyone of the famous quote in the film to which Hughes' Laura snapped at Tony, "Everybody uses everybody, don't they?" Props to the artist for making such a stunning replica of Laura. And when it comes to Anna, we look forward to seeing Hughes in the role for many more years to come. Kirsten Storms from General Hospital looks amazing, and fans are glad to see her back on social media. She took time away between November and February, but recently returned in April to talk about a vacation. This week, she stunned ABC fans because she looks so good. On April 29, Kirsten took to her Instagram profile page and shared a selfie that showed her wearing black and white with silver trimmings. Some fans loved that her phone also matched the vest. Sparking it up, she also wore some jewelry. Notably, her hair looked neat and stylish, and that got some attention from ABC fans as well. In her caption, the real-life Maxie Jones said, "Je t'adore," which means "I adore," as she shouted out her favorite fashion stylist. Then, in her hashtags, she let her fans know that she took the picture in the dressing rooms for the GA show. Kirsten, once known for playing the role of Belle Black on The Days of Our Lives, took control of her mindfulness and lost some weight. In fact, before her hiatus from social media, she shared a photo of herself doing what looked like a kickboxing routine. Fans agree that she looks amazing these days. One of them told Kirsten Storms in the comments, "You are just adorable, always look amazing." Meanwhile, others spoke about her cute outfit. Here are a few reactions. Words like amazing, gorgeous, and stunning peppered the conversation that went on for some time. Everyone seemed happy to see Kirsten looking so good, and they felt her break at the end of last year was well worth it. In December last year, fans of the ABC show got a bit nervous when they heard that the actress would take a hiatus. She had said, "That's a wrap on my time in Port Charles for today," adding, "Now it's time to hunt for some YouTube lessons on today's 5th grade math." Although she wasn't gone for long, she did get recast by Nicole Paggy for a bit. The nervousness about a possible exit arose because she'd taken breaks in the past. They related to health concerns, such as skin problems in 2016 and brain surgery in 2021. Fortunately, the cyst on her brain wasn't cancerous. Actresses Molly Burnett and Jen Lilly both stepped in to portray Maxie during these times. Are you thrilled to see how good Kirsten Storms looks these days? Shout out in the comments below, and come back here often for all your General Hospital cast news and updates. General Hospital spoilers update for Wednesday, April 30, reveals that Drew Cain will face an awful wake-up call, while Jack Brennan divulges a suspect. Lulu Spencer will also conduct her next interview, so let's discuss what's coming up in Port Charles. Although Nina Reeves will second-guess her Drew trap on Wednesday's show, it's too late to stop it now. Drew's already made a very public scene and will ultimately land in a staged cheating situation thanks to Jacinda's great work. Willow Corinthos never imagined Drew would do something as hurtful as betray her with another woman, but it'll certainly seem like that's what happened when she comes home to chaos. Of course, Drew will be just as horrified when he awakens to a disgusted Willow. Although Drew won't recall much about last night, he may eventually gather some puzzle pieces and argue that he must have been framed. Meanwhile, Curtis Ashford will give Laura Collins updates on Drew spiraling out of control at the Savoy. It seems Drew's actions will become front-page news thanks to Lulu's phone camera and the story she plans to pitch. Curtis will hope that their Drew issues are over now that the congressman has made such a fool of himself. Next, Lulu will approach Alexis Davis for an interview, so she may get Alexis talking about her mother-daughter reunion with Sam McCall as an adult. Alexis will also do some venting at some point, so she may have some harsh things to say about the Cassadine family. Once Carly Spencer returns from Los Angeles, she'll tell Jason Morgan about Sonny Corinthos' close call at the hospital. Brick saved Sonny's life, but the outcome could have been far bleaker if he'd appeared just a few seconds after he did. Jason will hear about all the latest nurse drama and wish he'd been there to help protect Sonny too. As for Brennan, he'll have a theory to pass along. Brennan has already shown signs of being suspicious of Jen Sidwell, so he might point the finger at him during a conversation with Carly. Whether Brennan thinks Sidwell or someone else is behind the ordered Sonny hits, he'll definitely do some speculating on Wednesday's GH episode. Finally, Trina Robinson will give Kai Taylor a chance to back out of his cutting-edge procedure, especially since there's so much at stake. General Hospital spoilers say Kai will stand his ground on his decision and make more positive predictions about the outcome, but is disaster brewing. General Hospital spoilers reveal a preview clip has been released for Wednesday, April 30, 2025. It shows Willow Tate Corinthos busting Drew Cain Quartermain. Laura Collins gets news from Curtis Ashford. Plus, Lulu Spencer has a chat with Alexis Davis. Keep reading and let's talk about what is coming up in the ABC soap opera. Fans know that Lulu has been doing a story on adoption, which didn't thrill Brooklyn Quartermain. However, Lulu is going to continue to do what she wants and work on the story of her choosing. It is teased that Alexis ends up venting to Lulu. Then, a preview clip shows Lulu asking someone if she can interview them. With Alexis having a unique angle on how messy things can get, it wouldn't surprise me if Lulu interviewed her for the story. Over at Willow's place, she has an unhappy return home. When Willow walks through the door, her eyes scan to the floor. It seems that a drugged Drew might have been left on the floor at home. Of course, if there is any evidence that Drew was playing around with Jacinda, then the congressman might not be able to explain his way out of this one. Later in the week, Drew pleads his case. So it sounds like Willow isn't sure what to believe. With Portia Robinson stating that Nina had a genius idea, there could be a downside too. Nina's worst fear could come true, and she might lose her daughter anyway after this is all said and done. If Drew suspects he was drugged, he will look to retaliate hardcore. General Hospital spoilers for today reveal that Curtis meets with Laura. Curtis drops the bombshell that their little Drew problem has been handled. Curtis adds that, interestingly enough, it was solved by Drew himself. However, Laura's eyebrows arch up high, suggesting she might get suspicious of this Drew scandal. Fans will also see Trina Robinson remind Kai Taylor that it's not too late to change his mind. Carly Spencer shares an alarming update with Jason Morgan. Of course, Carly will explain that if Brick had gotten there just 5 seconds later, then Sonny Corinthos would be dead. Later, Carly will hear a theory from Jack Brennan. Which storyline are you looking forward to seeing the most? Share your thoughts in the comment section below. General Hospital spoilers hint that Emma Scorpio Drake's own secret agent agenda may be revealed. But is she WSB or DVX? Emma is clearly keeping some things under wraps, so let's talk about this whole situation with Professor Henry Hank Dalton. Anna Devane finds it suspicious that Professor Dalton and Emma were at the same university in California before landing at PCU. Emma tried to explain it away as a coincidence, but Anna doesn't really believe in those. Why was Emma obsessed enough with Professor Dalton and his class to follow him back to Port Charles? Emma is definitely fixated on impressing Professor Dalton and scoring the research assistant position, almost as fixated as Jocelyn Jacks, who's on a WSB mission to accomplish the same thing. There's been a lot of emphasis on the fact that Jocelyn is the only person for the job. But what if she's being misled? What if Emma is a WSB agent as well who's working toward the same goal? Emma is definitely fixated on impressing Professor Dalton and scoring the research assistant position, almost as fixated as Jocelyn Jacks, who's on a WSB mission to accomplish the same thing. There's been a lot of emphasis on the fact that Jocelyn is the only person for the job. But what if she's being misled? What if Emma is a WSB agent as well who's working toward the same goal? It's possible that when Emma didn't get the job done following that disaster in California, the WSB lost faith in her to complete this mission. Emma may be determined to pull this off, especially if it's her last chance to prove herself. However, Jack Brennan may feel the operation is too important to risk Emma blowing it again. That would explain why Jocelyn Jacks was dumped into the project so late in the semester, almost like a replacement or backup. Jocelyn may be an insurance policy in case Emma can't accomplish her objective, or even a way to light a bit of a fire under Emma. Brennan might like the idea of pitting Emma and Jocelyn against each other to make them better agents, even if they don't know the other one's part of the WSB yet. GH fans will recall how Anna went as far as tasing Brennan when she warned him to stay away from Emma. That seemed like a surefire setup for a story where Brennan definitely would not stay away from Anna's granddaughter. It may have been laying the groundwork for the big reveal that Brennan's already recruited Emma. Of course, there's another option to consider if Emma is working for the DVX instead. There are good reasons to think Emma might do that if she's holding a grudge against the WSB. Back in 2023, Victor Cassadine made sure a tabloid story about Anna's past as a double agent came out following his demise. The WSB already knew everything in the article, but they still accused Anna of treason once it went public. Anna was forced to resign in disgrace and worried about what Emma would think of her at the time. What if Emma wound up being far angrier with the WSB for their treatment of Anna? It would have been easy for the DVX to use that as fuel to recruit Emma, so maybe she's on a mission for them that competes with Jocelyn's. Naturally, it's also possible Emma is simply digging into things on her own. but it makes more sense that she's working for someone else. Do you think Emma is part of the WSB, DVX, or even a double agent? General Hospital spoilers say Emma will make more predictions about scoring that research assistant spot, but she may have to make some updates to her tactics thanks to Jocelyn and the bad news that's brewing. General Hospital spoilers indicate that Michael Corinthos has been out of town since earlier this year, as Chad Duell's final episode with the soap aired on January 21. While many fans would love nothing more than for the actor to return to the daytime drama and his GH role, it looks as if the character will be recast. Here's what we know so far. By now, most fans know that Duell left the ABC soap to take a break thanks to some major changes in his life, including losing his father and becoming a first-time dad himself. When Chad announced his departure in November 2024, it was clear to both Duell and fans that the show would leave the door open for his return. With that said, Michael is a pivotal part of the soap and needs to return to storylines sooner rather than later. If Duell isn't up for returning, which seems to be the case, then a recast is needed ASAP. Still, all arrows are pointing toward a recast. On April 8 of this year, the young and the restless alum, Robert Adamson, who played Michael Corinthos as a temporary recast at Times, posted a now-deleted tweet on the social media platform X. In it, he stated, "Thanks for having me in to read for the recast of Michael. Covered the role not once, not twice, but 3 times without notice or time to physically prepare, but I don't even get an opportunity to read." It's clear that General Hospital is looking for a Michael Corinthos recast. However, since Adamson's X post, not much more information has trickled down the pipe. That's because he follows both Caitlin McMullen and Holly Gagnier now on social media. In addition, former Michael Corinthos, Drew Garrett, who was in the role from 2009 to 2010, right before Duell stepped into the character, was recently on Maurice Bernard's podcast, State of Mind. This comes off the cusp of Michael recast rumors, so some fans believe he may end up playing the part again, as the appearance was so timely. Willow arrives home, calls Drew on her phone, and says there are reporters camped outside and to call her back. Willow then finds a black woman's shoe on the floor. Willow makes her way into the bedroom. Drew is out cold in the bed, and Jacinda, in his dress shirt, says, "Didn't your mother teach you to knock?" Willow states this is her bedroom. Jacinda explains that Drew said she was out of town, and not to be too hard on him, as men often need to let off steam. Jacinda takes off, Willow slams the door, causing Drew to stir awake. He doesn't know what happened. She cries, "Your date just left. I can't believe you'd do this to me." Willow runs out as Drew screams after her, while grabbing his head in pain. At General Hospital, Kay meets up with Trina and assumed Drew would be here. Trina guesses that he's not feeling great this morning, especially with what's in the papers. Felicia takes Kay to fill out some paperwork and get him set up. Kay is moved into a room, and Felicia brings up the documentary crew outside his room. Kay explains that Drew wanted to document this for other people and to give them hope, but he thought Drew would be here for this. Felicia says if he needs privacy, she can handle them. Later, Trina arrives and says there is no word on Drew. She asks if he still wants to go on with the documentary. Curtis meets with Laura in her office, and they discuss the news splashed everywhere about Drew. Curtis explains Aurora held back, but will publish a story later, but he didn't want to rile Drew anymore, given their history. They laugh over the fact that even Ezra is distancing himself from Drew, and their Drew problems may be over. Laura says she misses the days when politics was about the issues, but Drew hasn't done anything to improve the lives of any of his constituents. All he's done is fight with people. Curtis says this stunt shows his constituents that Drew is out of control and self-serving. Curtis notes that Kay's surgery is today, so he's going to the hospital to wait with Trina. Curtis says Laura should be in a better position with the referendum. and Drew may be out of Congress very soon. Lulu meets with Alexis in her office and says she'd love to talk to her about adoption for her peace. Alexis says she'll have to reschedule as she needs to protect Scout from her father right now. Lulu feels bad about the story, but others were filming him too. Alexis understands it is her job. Lulu says Drew was very drunk. Alexis calls his behavior out of character. Lulu explains Drew wasn't just tipsy, he was out of control. Alexis says Drew's constituents deserve to know how he really behaves, and she needs to get to Scout. Lulu heads to her mom's office and says her story is going well, but she'd like to interview her mom. Laura was expecting this. Lulu says she is shielding her sources by not using real names. Lulu notes her mom never talks about her adoption. Laura says that's because she wasn't adopted. She was switched in the hospital and had two families. Lulu asks what it was like when Grandma Leslie entered her life. Laura explains she didn't know anything about Leslie, but she felt at the time she had a great connection with this woman who was practically a stranger. Lulu asks if the Vinings saw the connection, and Laura doesn't know. Leslie eventually told her the truth. There was a period when she didn't want to have anything to do with Leslie, as she didn't want to hurt the Vinings. She says she ran away at 14 and joined a convent, and it was Rick and Leslie who found her. Rick made her see that Leslie made all her choices based on what was best for her daughter. After that, she got to know Leslie, and things improved. Lulu asks if she wonders what it would have been like to never know the truth. Laura says she loved both her mothers, and she couldn't imagine her life without Leslie in it. Laura wonders why this is so important to her, and she gets the idea that this article is more than about other people's experiences. What is going on? At Nana's, Portia and Nana talk about how well their plan worked out. Nana says Willow's plane has landed, and she's going to be devastated over this. Jacinda arrives and explains what happened last night. She staged a scene in Drew's bedroom, spent the night on the couch, but was awake to set a scene when Willow arrived. She slipped out the back to avoid the reporters. Nina gives Jacinda the rest of her pay, and Jacinda is happy to head to Sydney to lay low. However, should anyone find her, she will tell them that Drew solicited her companionship and took her to the Savoy, and then back home to continue the party. Jacinda heads out, and Portia thinks she should get to work as Kay's surgery is today, and a film crew is documenting it. Back at the hospital, the documentary crew speaks with Portia about the surgery and the risks. Portia avoids the questions about the dangers of the surgery as best as she can, and points to Dr. Mohinder as the one who is performing the groundbreaking surgery, and she has faith in him and their team at General Hospital. In Kay's room, Trina says he can stop the documentary if he wants, but Kai is okay with it. Kai also thinks they might want to interview her, and they may refer to her as his girlfriend. She likes the sound of that and kisses him. Curtis arrives, and Portia fills him in on Josh, the documentary director, and that he asked some really thoughtful questions. She's still worried for Kai. Curtis assumes Drew isn't here, and he still can't believe Drew would hurt Willow. He never thought Drew was the type to cheat. Josh heads into Kay's room and meets Trina. He'd like to get her thoughts, and she's agreeable to talk to him. She signs some release forms, and then he gets started. Back at Drew's, Alexis arrives, and Drew asks what is going on. She says she is here to pack a bag for Scout, and she'll stay with her. Drew doesn't understand. There are reporters on his lawn, and he has no memory of what happened last night. Alexis enlightens him and shows him footage from the Savoy. He doesn't remember anything, and Alexis has been there as an alcoholic. Drew's never experienced a blackout before. Alexis says he's in trouble, and he needs to do the right thing and let Scout stay with her until this blows over. Drew thanks her and promises to get to the bottom of this. Alexis goes to pack Scout a bag, and Drew hears his phone buzzing on the floor. It's wrapped in a red bra. He sees the numerous missed calls and messages he has. Willow shows up at Nina's in tears. Nina sits her down, and Willow says her phone just died, and she can't believe what she came home to. Nina knows how brutal this betrayal must be. Willow asks how she knows. Nina explains that everyone knows, and shows her that what happened has been all over the news and social media. She shows her an image on her phone, and Willow says the woman with Drew in the video was the one who was in her bedroom this morning. Willow asks if their kids know anything, and Nina says Amelia is too young to understand, and Wiley and Scout are in school without their phones. Willow says none of this makes sense. Nothing fits with the man she knows and loves, and there must be an explanation. Nina asks if Drew's been drinking more than usual lately. Willow says she hasn't noticed, but what if this is who Drew really is? When she left town, perhaps he let loose and showed his true self. Suddenly, Drew begins banging on the door to talk to Willow. In Lay, Sonny wakes up to see Brennan sitting in the chair in his room. Sonny knows Brick saved him and Brennan cleaned up the mess and took over his security detail. Brennan says Jason is here now, and he has to be other places to be, so he heads out. In the hall, Carly fills Jason in on the attempt on Sonny's life and Brick saving him. Brennan arrives and tells them Sonny is awake. Carly heads in to see him, and Jason tells Brennan that he can take things from here. Brennan informs Jason that he knows something about the woman who tried to kill Sonny. He says she's a well-known assassin, and she is usually hired to take care of politicians and other government officials, never anyone on Sonny's level. She was hired on the dark web and paid by crypto, just like Selinsky. Meanwhile, Carly sits with Sonny. Sonny says with Jason here, she can head home, but she refuses. He insists he doesn't need her right now, but someone else does, Donna. She agrees to go, only so that his worrying about Donna doesn't stress him. He promises he's okay, and she got him through this. Carly exits, tells Jason that Sonny wants to see him, so he heads in. She asks Brennan what he will do now. He has to head back to Port Charles, and she tells him that she does as well. He offers her a first-class trip on the WSB jet. In Sonny's room, Jason feels he should have been here. Sonny says this was something they couldn't have anticipated, just like what happened at his apartment. However, he got an important message from his dad, and they have to get out of this business. Jason knows they have to find out who is after him too, but first, they have to get him home. Sonny's not going to roll over and let something like a vote take away the peers from him. He's got a few options he can do once he recovers from surgery. The tension is mounting for General Hospital's Sonny. Not only has he undergone heart surgery, which left him vulnerable to a murder attempt, he's also dealing with a voter referendum in Port Charles that could take his peers away and replace them with an esplanade. If that happens, Sonny's businesses, legitimate or otherwise, could be in danger. What's worse is that someone like Sidwell could seize control of those docks, thereby controlling the flow of illegal goods. But there's a possibility that Sonny could overcome or even circumvent a vote against him. Port Charles is modeled after Buffalo, New York. Therefore, it's a strategic port that stretches from Lake Erie through Lake Ontario. In addition, several connecting rivers lead north through the St. Lawrence River, ultimately ending up in the Atlantic Ocean. So whoever controls the city's piers can run goods through Canada and to other countries, which is why it's always been a target of rival mafia organizations. Drew, aka Congressman Cutthroat, originally began proposing the McConkey Esplanade, a public walkway, in honor of the late congressman of the same name. Things changed when he decided to target Sonny and Jason, shifting the potential location to where the mobsters' piers are located. A voter referendum will determine whether or not the city will take Sonny's property by eminent domain, and it doesn't look good for our favorite racketeer. Attorney Diane Miller has already explained to Sonny that there's nothing they can do if the voters go against him. She advised him to better his image to win the vote, but Sonny has other avenues he could pursue to solve this issue. For one thing, he could secretly, through shell corporations, purchase the other piers that were the initially proposed site for the walkway, or he could buy up other waterfront properties in town and turn them into docks. Additionally, there are other ports on the U.S. side of Lake Ontario, where he could also purchase a large number of piers. That would take him away from Port Charles, though, and seems an unlikely solution. His best bet is to let the scandal of Drew's ketamine-fueled escapade bring the congressman down, and as a bonus, he could do the same to Councilman Boyle, and his problems would be over.